Tonight, our nation celebrates one of its most inspirational leaders and activists by honoring the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We know all that he came and dealt with racial fairness and lost his life in that fight. But did you know that there are investigations that have gone on about how actually he died? See, most of us think that we know exactly how he died, how he was shot, and it was an open and shut case. Well, guess what? This is an amazing tale that you're about to hear from Michelle Greenstein about what has been uncovered regarding his death. I'm gonna hand it to you and let you take it away, because in my conversations with you thus far, I have been drop-jawed listening to you. And so was I. I actually spoke earlier today to Dr. William Pepper. He actually, on behalf of Coretta Scott King and the King family, filed a civil suit in the case of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, this is the only trial that's ever been held about this assassination because, as we know, James Earl Ray, after he pled guilty, meant there was no trial. So this is the only trial that's ever been held. Now, we're all familiar with the official story of this lone gunman, right, in '67. James Earl Ray shot him. You know,
he was in jail for armed robbery. He somehow escaped.
Admitted to it.
Right. But what's interesting is that he pled guilty, but he didn't confess. And actually, in these court transcripts, he says over and over, I did not confess to killing King. And he says he only did so because he feared for his life. He and William Pepper told me that the only reason James pled guilty is because it was the only way to save his life. Now, he did this as a last resort, and he was actually told by his lawyer, Percy Foreman, that he should take the guilty plea because that's how he was going to get a new lawyer. So he saw this as his only way to get rid of this bad lawyer and get a new lawyer. And interestingly enough, he filed for an appeal days afterward and tried to get a new trial. So like I said, I spoke to Dr. Pepper earlier today. Here's what he had to say about the way Dr. Martin Luther King was actually killed.
Wow.
He wasn't killed from the bullet that hit him on the balcony. He was taken to the St. Joseph's Hospital, and he was killed in the emergency room of St. Joseph's Hospital by the chief of neurosurgery, Dr. Breen Bland, who came in when they were all working on him in the emergency room, and he said, get out of here, let that die. And as they moved out of the room, the last one out was a surgical nurse, Lula Mae Shelby, and when she heard them gathering up spit in their lungs to spit on Martin's body lying on a bed there. Then she saw Dr. Bland take the catheters out of Martin's body and take the pillow from under his head and put it over his face and suffocate him. And that's how Martin King died. That's how he was really assassinated. Now, he might have died anyway from the bullet wounds, but he didn't. He was still alive and still breathing. The chief neurosurgeon, he intervened and he made sure that death would result.
Wow.
Right? My jaw was on the floor. Now, Dr. Pepper knows this because the son of the nurse, Lula Mae Shelby, who died, but before she died told her family, the son of this nurse told Dr. Pepper under oath. And when Dr. Pepper confronted a member of the Dixie Mafia, he said, yes, this happened, and actually that the chief of surgery was their family doctor, and that 3 weeks before the assassination, he visited them and said, hey, if the bullet doesn't kill him, make sure he goes to St. Joseph's, because we will make sure that he dies. Now, let's talk about this case, okay? This was the civil suit in 1999 where Pepper represented the King family, and that really made the family feel like they had closure, and like I said, it was the only trial ever held. The Memphis jury in this case decided that local, state, and federal governments were liable for King's death, and that this was a real conspiracy, a conspiracy between the U.S. military, the Memphis PD, and Dixie Mafia, these crime figures in Memphis, Tennessee.
This is just for the audience.
Right.
This is a civil case that was brought, much like the O.J. case.
Right, where
they couldn't find him guilty here, but finally when a civil jury heard it, they came out with a
It was the only trial, yes, and there was 30 days of trial, and over 70 witnesses were heard. And Dr. Pepper told me earlier today that it took the jury less than an hour to decide after these 30 days
that this was a true conspiracy.
Correct.
Where others may have been involved.
Correct.
Other than the person who was accused.
And that James Earl Ray was the fall man, and that he was unwittingly, unknowingly part of this conspiracy. And the real shooter, I gotta say this even though we can't get to the whole story, was Frank Strouser. He was a Memphis police officer, the best shot in the Memphis PD, and he was the one who actually fired the fatal shot.